sidewinding into the run. Oh, my goodness. It's on the option, an opportunity for the goal. He's done it. An incredible touchdown run with 47 seconds to go. Touchdown. State championship.
And good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Sports Channel's two-day coverage of the IHSA State Football Championships. I'm Steve Cashel. Coming up, we're going to be bringing you the second of today's 4 state championship games live. Stay tuned all day as we bring you the 2A through 4A title games. And then tomorrow, of course, it's the big 5A and 6A championship games. Next, we bring you the Class 2A championship game between Rockridge and Georgetown. Rockridge enters the game with a mark of 11-2, while Georgetown brings a 10-3 mark into the game. Now for more on these two teams, let's check in with Tom Stocker and Bill Gurley. Guys?
It is a picture-perfect day for football here on the campus of Illinois State University in Normal. We're about to crown our Class 2A state champion here on championship weekend. It's the Rockets of Rockridge. They are 11-2 this year against the Buffaloes of Georgetown-Ridge Farm. They are 10-3. Hi, everybody. Tom Stocker alongside Bill Gorley. And here in our 2A game, we've got two teams that have kind of lived on the edge in the playoffs to get here to the final game. They defied the odds. Rockridge, a 1-point winner in their semifinal game last week against Byron. Georgetown-Ridge Farm, 2 one-point victories along the way.
And Rockridge had to survive a 400-yard passing game against them. So this is going to be an interesting game with two running styles, Tom.
Rockridge features a running attack. They will run the wing tee. They are keyed by Jason Fuller, a two-way player. He is the real key because he is the fullback, and the fullback is the key to their wing tee attack.
Well, that's the whole thing. And, of course, Georgetown has got to watch the guards. Most people that play a wing tee team will watch the backfield, and the ball handling is so expertise and so precise that you really can't watch it because of the ball handling situation.
Meanwhile, he is in the backfield with his brother Sean and his half-brother Mike. A Fuller House backfield of sorts, I suppose. Meanwhile, for the Buffaloes of Georgetown-Ridge Farm, the man who has carried the load for them, Carlos Severado Jr., he has gained nearly 2,000 yards this year, running mainly out of the eye.
He runs out of the eye, Tom, and he's deep. He's at least 7 yards deep. And, of course, they feel they can let him run. Any crack that he sees, he can take it. So he has that feeling, and he's done a terrific job. He's the leading ground gainer in the history of that school.
And also a two-way player because he was named All-State recently as a quarterback. So talented stars on both teams. Of course, you find that here at the Class 2A level. When you think about the fact that Rockridge gave up 400 yards passing last week and a Georgetown-Ridge Farm likes to run, are they going to be tempted to put the ball into the air?
Well, when we talked to the coaches earlier in the week, he said no, he wasn't tempted. They came here running the ball. They're going to try and run the ball today.
Both these teams like to run. Between them through the whole season, each team average 5 pass attempts a team. So just go ahead and let the clock operator start the clock and just let the 12 minutes run off the quarter.
Well, that's why I alluded to the fact that maybe the officials were letting the air out of the ball.
All right, now let's meet the two teams that are battling for the 2A state championships on this beautiful afternoon. Let's go down to the stadium public address announcer.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing the starting lineups for this afternoon's Class 2A state championship game, featuring the Rockets of Rockridge High School and the Buffaloes of Georgetown-Ridge Farm. First, introducing the starting defensive lineup for Rockridge High School of Taylor Ridge. Let's meet the head coach. Here is Rick Amy. At left end, number 7, Sean Fuller. At left tackle, number 50, David Freeman. At right tackle, number 65, Justin Drish. At right end, number 78, Sean Smith. At nose tackle, number 33, Bob Horn. At linebacker, number 55, Bo Carlson. At linebacker, number 38, Jason Fuller.
Don't get hurt doing that,
At linebacker, number 34, Brian Calvert. At defensive back, number 44, John Phillips. At defensive back, number 24, Brian Hofer. And at safety, number 9, Joe Schmalbach. Those are the Rockets of Rockridge High School of Taylor Ridge. And now let's meet the starting offensive lineup for the Buffaloes of Georgetown-Ridge Farm. First, introducing the head coach, Greg Edwards. At left end, number 10, Jarvis Brown. At left tackle, number 52, Jake Tutwiler. At left guard, number 72, Eli Potter. At center, number 66, Lucas Kelly. At right guard, number 64, J.R. Ewing. At right tackle, number 75, Blake Hawkins. At right end, number 8, Jason Evans. At quarterback, number 2, Matt Page. At halfback, number 20, Cecil Severato Jr. At flanker back, number 13, Scott Gunter. And at fullback, number 44, Glenn Austin. Those are the Buffaloes of Georgetown-Ridge Farm High School.
There are our two teams here in the 2A finals here on a beautiful afternoon. Let's go down to the sidelines where our colleague Joe Passion will be working.
Well, Stocks, I'll tell you, down here in the field, as we talked about during the 1A championship game, beautiful sun shining right into my mug, but a gorgeous day. It's in the lower 50s, very little wind down here on the field, and both teams are equipped with tennis shoes and turf shoes, so the footing should be well balanced for both teams. Now, one aspect also that the weather may play into plays, what the guys talked about a little bit earlier, is the fact that without the wind, there may be some passing that could come into play, but the running game seems to be the strength of both, and we'll find out how that pans out with both. The road to normal for both teams was also an exciting one. We'll talk a little bit about how the Rockridge Rockets got here, and that big semifinal win, of course, against Byron was a big one for them. And for the home team today, the Buffaloes of Coach Greg Edwards, outstanding semifinal win for them over Dupo. And now let's send it back upstairs for the opening kickoff of the 2A state championship game.
All right, Joe, it'll be Rockridge kicking off. They're going to wear the white jerseys. Georgetown-Ridge Farm wearing all purple on this afternoon. Nice of the IHSA to move the games to Tampa this year. What's a strange feeling in my hands? I can actually feel them. The weather is as good of weather we've had probably the last 4 or 5 years here at Bloomington. Back deep, you see Cecil Severato Jr. He is not only their star tailback, but he will return kicks. Bob Horn will kick it off for the Rockets of Rockridge. The wind right now is calm, and the kick by Horn taken by Severato at the 11. Check that is Jarvis Brown. Brown up to the 24-yard line, and that's where the Buffaloes will set up shop. 1st and 10. Again, they run out of a multiple formation, basically out of the eye. Let's take a look at their offensive unit starting in this 2A title game. An offensive line, you see the backs right there. Matt Page is the quarterback. Glenn Austin and Severato will work out of the tandem back there. Scott Gunner, the flanker, with Jason Evans, a wide receiver. Also Jarvis Brown working as a wideout. From the 24, it is 1st and 10. And they're going to go to the fullback. Right off the bat, Glenn Austin, a 5'9" senior who has averaged nearly 6 yards a carry. But he struggled there just to get back to the line of scrimmage. Maybe picked up a yard. There's the offensive line. It features some good size. Hawkins is at 235. Kelly at the center is at 232. They do have 2 seniors, 2 sophomores, and a junior in that offensive line that had to come along throughout the course of the year. Again, Georgetown losing its first 2 games, although both were to future playoff teams, Watsika and Muhammad Seymour, both in 3A. On second down, up to the 25-yard line on the carry, and just getting back to the line of scrimmage is Cecil Severato Jr., his first carry of the game.
Here's an outstanding hit, Tom. Severato, of course, is 7 yards deep, and it gives the linebackers an opportunity to come up and make that kind of a play. And, Georgetown is a little bit bigger than the Rockets, so, is quickness going to beat the big guys?
It'll bring up 3rd and 9, the ball just across the 25. Now they go to the pro set. Is Matt Page airing it out and way overthrowing Jarvis Brown, who is an outside threat. In fact, they'd like to get the ball to him more. They tried there, going on the deep pattern on 3rd and 9, and they'll punt.
Right. We talked about the fact that neither team likes to throw the ball, and of course here we come, third football play, and they're throwing the ball. But on a day like today, obviously you want to be able to take advantage of that.
So T.J. Riley drops back in deep safety for the Rockets, and Jarvis Brown, number 10, will drop back and punt it away. So it's 3 and out here, first time around for the Buffaloes offense, as Brown will be kicking into the sun. The snapper, Rob Mills, gets a good snap back, and Brown just gets it away. Riley has a little trouble locating it, then gives up Brown, and he is dropped back at the 39-yard line. Is in there on the tackle, Shane Lazelle, number 90 for the Buffaloes.
He almost touched that before he was able to catch the ball, and of course the turf helped the bounce, and there's the hit. And that's the way you like to see the special teams come down and play. There's a little better angle. Actually, it was almost like a block, Tom, instead of a tackle. But he was right there to make the play.
Well, once he had trouble having to locate the ball on the bounce, that meant the blockers really had to hold their blocks extra long and had no chance for a good return. First down play, big gain for the wingback, Mike Fuller, out of the wing tee as he picks up good yardage up to the 47-yard line. He gets maybe enough for the first down.
And Tom, go ahead with the starting lineup there, Tom.
Schmolbach is the quarterback. Great ball faker in the backfield. Sean Fuller and Mike Fuller, half-brothers there. And then brother Jason Fuller, the key to the offense, the fullback. The ends, Brian Hofer and Dave Krambeck. They're going to measure. So let's take a look at the offensive line for Rockridge. It features Oliveris at 215. But that's about all the size they've got. Really not a lot of size. Gilliland at 190, Brown at 165, Carlson at 178. And they're just shy of the first down. So give 9 yards on the first carry to Mike Fuller.
You mentioned the size, Tom, and that's one of the reasons why football teams tend to run out of the wing tee, is because they can take advantage of the blocking angles, and at the point of attack they can have more double teams.
Georgetown runs out of a 4-3, but it'll look like a 52 defense. They'll bring the outside linebacker Lazelle up and play him on the line. There are the interior linemen, Potter, Austin, Cosat, and Hawkins. The linebackers and the secondary. There's Severato and All-Stater in the secondary, along with the free safety Anthony Austin, strong safety Scott Gunner, and the other cornerback Jamie Lashbrook. Second and short from the 46. Once again, Mike Fuller has the first down and then some, as he is into Georgetown territory to the 49-yard line, and a fresh set of downs coming up for the Rockets.
They would appear at this point to be showing a strength to the wide side of the field, and they're coming back inside with the wingback, and in that case, Mike Fuller running the ball inside.
Spot the ball at the 48 for the Buffaloes. Rockridge on its first drive after Georgetown-Ridge Farm went 3 and out. In motion, Sean Fuller. He gets the call. Has good room with a hole through the right side. And he gets it to the 43-yard line. He picks up 5. And first down is a big key for any running team, especially a wing team. You don't want to keep finding yourselves in 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 situations.
That's right, Tom. And of course, Rockridge, since the 4th game when they were 2-2, they went on a scoring rampage. They have never scored less than 38 points for 8 football games until they played the number 2A perennial champion Byron, and then they, of course, won 27-26.
Jason Fuller toting the ball for the first time, picking his way for a first down. Second first down of this drive for Rockridge.
Well, Jason is a workhorse. Anytime in a wing tee, you want to get that fullback the ball. It's pretty much like an option type of offense, Tom, because you're riding the belly with the fullback, and he ran that real well. And of course, he won't have his glossy yardage like Severado will, but he'll have all those hard-earned yards.
And we've got a timeout as Georgetown wants to talk it over because Rockridge is eating up the yardage in big chunks on this first drive. 8:39 to go in the first quarter. We're scoreless for the 2A state championship. Tom Stalker, Bill Gorley, 1st and 10 Rockridge at the Georgetown 38-yard line. Schmolbach on the option. Kept it as long as he could, gets it back to Mike Fuller, who gets it to the 30-yard line, a pickup of 8. The shortest gain they've had so far has been 5 yards. This Rockridge offense averaging right under 300 yards a game on the ground.
There's the ride with the belly ride with the fullback. Now the relationship between the quarterback and the tailback isn't quite as good as you'd like. And of course, it's really just like a shovel pass out to the running back. And as you mentioned, Tom, it's the shortest gain they've had, but there's a good graphic right there on how they've outscored people.
Jason Fuller pounding it up through the left side down to the 25-yard line, another pickup of 7 yards. So this Georgetown defense, which has given up just 93 yards rushing per game this year, has already given up close to 40 yards on this drive already.
Well, Tom, they've come out in a 4-3, which really turns into a 6-1 because they bring people up. But if they don't start bringing in the secondary to make more plays, they're going to be on the short end of the score here shortly.
Third first down of the drive. This drive began back at the 37. T.J. Roddy in motion, and he gets the handoff. Again, there's good blocking with a hole through the right side. And he's to the 20-yard line. Scott Gunner, the strong safety, makes the tackle, but another pickup of nearly 5 yards on first down.
Well, you could see right there the hole opened up, and there was nobody filling. You've got to have that secondary coming up to make that play.
T.J. Roddy, they're the second fastest runner on the team, runs a 4.5 40. His abilities complements Sean Fuller. Roddy the faster, Fuller more of a bruising runner. Good, great fake by Schmolbach. He spins down to the 11-yard line. That's the kind of ball faking ability, the ball handling ability that Schmolbach has had this year.
And that's what we talked about earlier, is that the ball handling is the key to the wing tee. We'll get to see it here on the replay. There's the fake, a great fake to the fullback, and a second fake to the wingback, and Schmolbach is out by himself. Had he not slipped there, Tom, he may have been able to take it outside.
But you see the key. They forced Georgetown to commit to tackling the fullback, committing 1 or 2 defenders to having to make that stop on that man, even though he didn't have the football.
The key on defense is you've got to watch the guards. You can't watch the ball handling.
Already 62 yards rushing through this drive that picks up a few more. As slamming down is Mike Fuller as he gets it to about the 6-yard line. He picks up 6 more. Again, the shortest gain for any play in this drive has been 5 yards.
And that was on an option play. You know, you look at this backfield for Rockridge, and you see Fuller, and Schmolbach. It sounds like a law firm.
Well, they are racking up the yardage right now. Fuller, and Schmolbach. They're at the 6-yard line, 2nd and 4. Again, Schmolbach keeping, touchdown.
That's a real impressive drive, Tom. They just went right down the field, very methodically, running to the inside, using the fullback, then going to the outside. And then, of course, in this last series, they used Schmolbach where he kept the ball.
The drive entirely on the ground, every play a running play.
And, of course, what really becomes dangerous now, as soon as Georgetown starts playing and coming up with the run, the play-action passes there.
John Phillips, 44 of 48 on extra points this year out of the hold of Sean Fuller. And it's 7-0 in favor of the Rockets of Rockridge with 6:35 left to go in the opening quarter. Let's go back and take a look at the touchdown. This play, really, this could be any play in the drive.
Well, and of course, what you like to do when you're running wing T is you run a series and then you switch off. And there's where a good example where a good fake and Schmalbach just steps out to the outside and keeps the ball. Here's a better angle possibly where you see the fake to the wing back, Fuller, and then Schmalbach just comes right back out behind the behind the wing back block. Sean Fuller, of course, being number 7, making the block on the outside secondary.
And again, this is a team that Rockridge that lost 2 of their first 4 games. And in fact, they had to win some must games down the stretch to even have a chance to qualify.
Well, I think the big thing is, too, it even goes back a little further, is in 92, Tom, where they were 0-9, and where this school maybe was not going to have athletics if it wasn't for the Booster Club.
In fact, the Booster Club kept the athletic program going for a short time until they can get another referendum passed. And then the 0-9 year, they actually lost 3 games due to a teacher's strike. And Rick Amy says, hey, that actually helped us because we started the year with 13 players.
Well, and then the other thing, and I think this is probably the best point, is the fact that it rallied the people to have a better sports program and be able to get some money back into the program.
Horns kick taken by Jarvis Brown. Breaks a tackle. Good balance and dives up to the 34-yard line. The ball squirted free, but the fumble caused by the artificial surface. And so Georgetown, who had a 3 plays and out, will start it now. A 20-yard return for Brown, giving him position at the 35-yard line. Take a look at the return. You see him break 1. And he does a great job getting outside, puts the hand down to maintain his balance, and then gets the extra yardage. You see the ball comes loose after he came down on the artificial surface.
And if he had not lost his balance there, Tom, it may have been able to turn the corner and turn it up.
So Matt Page and the Buffaloes trying to answer. They find themselves trailing 7-0 as the Rockets show blitz, and I think they entice some early movement in the offensive line for Georgetown-Ridge Farm. You see Sean Fuller, the 6'2 senior defensive left end. It's offside, though. Oh, they came into the neutral zone, encroachment against Rockridge, so Ridge Farm picks up 5.
We might be able to get a chance to see that movement. Yep, there it is, right there, right on the outside corner. Sean Fuller just a little anxious, trying to make the play defensively.
Rockridge actually doesn't mind seeing Georgetown spread out with the wide out. It actually gets their defensive lineman in more of a gap situation.
And, of course, the big thing that the Buffaloes want to do right now is they want to be able to keep the ball away from Rockridge.
There goes Glenn Austin. He stepped out of bounds back at the 36-yard line. He goes all the way. When he stepped on the sidelines all the way back, they signaled touchdown, but they're going to bring it back to the 37. He clearly stepped right on the sideline.
And that was a good call because the official was right there and saw him step out. We'll be able to see it on the replay. He just weaves his way through. It was a spread formation. They trapped inside, and now he's off to the races. And now you'll be able to see where he stepped out.
Right there. Right there.
Right there. The first time, see, that's why you like chalk, Tom. That's why you don't want to play on the turf, because you see that chalk come up. There he went to the outside, and he was out of bounds.
Well, old coaches, they keep that can of that chalk out in the backyard and dive into it every Saturday afternoon just to get the feel of it. Big gain on the play, 23 yards for Glenn Austin.
Like I said, that was just a little trap inside. And of course, when you run that deep out of the I formation, it really sets it up for you to be able to run traps.
But also with the trap, when the defense is more gap like they are now, it gives you more room to work with if you can successfully execute that trap
those creases are a lot larger, Tom.
1st and 10 from the 37. Buffaloes in Rocket territory for the first time to the 32-yard line. That is Cecil Severano Jr. 7-0 in favor of the Rockets in our 2A title game on a delightful afternoon here in Bloomington Normal.
Here's some great numbers on Cecil Severano. 267 rushes and almost 2,000 yards with a 7.4 average. That's phenomenal.
Rushed for nearly 1,300 yards last year as a junior. Was a wingback as a sophomore. He's a 3-year starter offensively. 2nd and 6 from the 32. Fighting is Austin. as he gets maybe to the 31-yard line. Pick up about 4 on the play, bringing up a 3rd and 6. Now this is the bane of running teams. You get a 3rd and 6 call. Not an easy call to make. Take a look at Glenn Austin's numbers. Nearly 6 yards a carry this year as he's toted the ball 69 times entering today's game.
And those are all tough yards for him because they're all inside, Tom. And yes, this is a big play for the Buffaloes because they're not in the situation that we really like to be in.
Austin and Severano. Severano gets the toss. He tries to pick his way. He's corralled, trying to spin inside and gets absolutely nowhere. Thrown for a loss of a yard on the play as he's corralled by the Rockets defense.
Now that might be the version of the Rockets pass where they pitch the ball out like that because they want to run the ball. They don't care. And of course, Brian Calvert comes in and makes the play. And well, you got a host of a few other people. You got Sean Fuller in there finishing off and doing a nice job. But that's exactly what you said. Is it's between a rock and a hard place for a running team when it's 3rd and 6.
Now it's 4th and 7. And the Buffaloes appear to be going for it out of a spread formation. Back to throw is Page, putting it up and overthrowing Brown, who had single coverage. He had the cornerback Brian Hofer covering, but he couldn't quite locate the pass looking over his inside shoulder, and the pass came over the outside shoulder.
We'll see the replay right here, and the coverage, they're in man-to-man. Obviously, it makes sense to play man-to-man for a team that doesn't go throw the ball very much, and they want to be able to keep their pursuit after Severano, who's a tailback and who's the big gun in their offense.
So the ball will go over on downs to the Rockets, who will start out this drive at their own 33. Their last drive, the scoring drive, began at their 37. Late here in the first quarter, 7-0. Rockridge over Georgetown-Ridge Farm. 1st and 10. Penalty marker thrown as the play begins. Hammering up the middle is Mike Fuller, the wingback.
You know, early in a game, it really takes a lot of time to adjust to the wing tee when you're seeing it full speed. There was the motion. Rockridge was had a back, I believe, that moved, Tom.
George Lorenz, our referee this afternoon. First penalty against Rockridge, who had a flawless, well-executed drive to take the 7-0 lead.
That's probably the first play that stopped them. Little motion, and of course you have motion in a wing tee offense, and you have to be very careful of that and very cognizant of the fact that you can't move before that ball.
1st and 15 now from the 28. This is as far back in their end as Rockridge has been. Up the middle, Jason Fuller. Nothing fancy, just power football to the 34-yard line. Fuller, hard-nosed kid, 5'10", 175 pounds, who has gained over 1,000 yards this year.
One of the things you need to think about when you're a defensive football team, as the Buffaloes are watching this wing tee, is they have to have assignments. It's almost like an option. And you can't be watching the ball. You've got to watch the guards, and you have to take your assignment, and you have to be very disciplined on defense.
And the fullback pick. There's a play action by Smolback, but he's swarmed over for a sack back at the 25-yard line. Back there for the Buffaloes. Leading the way was number 65, Jason Metz.
There's a fake the inside of the wingback, of course, to the fullback. And Smolback takes about a 5-yard drop on it. And then, of course, we had half the defense in there to make that tackle. And again, teams that don't throw the football have a difficult time when they have to do it.
So it's 3rd and 17. And they get to the fullback. They're just going to see what Fuller can pick up as he runs up the middle to the 29-yard line. He picks up 3, and the Rockets will have to punt the football for the first time today.
A lot of times, Tom, you'll give that ball to the fullback just to see how the defense reacts. And then you can come back with a couple other plays that will look similar, but then you'll have different action off that play.
Georgetown should come out of this with some good field position, as Bob Horn is back to punt, and a twin safeties back for the Buffaloes are Severano and Brown.
And Horn averages about 38 yards a kick, Tom.
That one low. They'll let it bounce. And great roll. So much for the field position Georgetown could have had. The low punt keeps rolling. Still rolling to the 18-yard line, where it finally runs out of steam. A 53-yard punt.
I guess they didn't take the air out of the ball.
So a 53-yard punt for a Horn. And Georgetown, which could have had the ball in great shape, now is back inside their 20. Late here in the first quarter, 7-0. The Rockets of Rockridge, who were here in the title game in '87, finishing second that year, trying to win. It'd be a first state championship in football for either of these two schools. Matt Page sets him down at the 18. Severado trying to counter back. It's plugged up. He gets 2 to the 20-yard line. Joe Schmolbach, the free safety, in there. Also in there is the outside linebacker, Bo Carlson, who plays very well on running plays.
Well, that was a little counter trap, trying to get Severado and get him free. And, of course, the Buffaloes would like nothing better than to get a sustained drive here, 3, 4, 5 yards at a crack, and be able to get that touchdown back.
They need to get some confidence for their offense.
Absolutely.
2nd and 7. The lone wideout for Georgetown is Wayne O'Brien. Severado corralled for no gain at the 21-yard line. He ran right into the arms of nose tackle Bob Horn.
Well, the interesting thing, too, and I mentioned this earlier, is that the Buffaloes are, as by nickname, are physically bigger than the Rockets, but the Rockets seem to be very quick in being able to get in there and be able to play that straight-ahead type of offense that Georgetown likes to run.
So after one quarter in our battle for the 2A state championship, Rockridge with a 7-0 lead here on Sports Channel.
The Rockets of Rockridge with a 7-0 lead as we go to the second quarter of play here, the Class 2A championship game over Georgetown-Ridge Farm. And with Ridge Farm back on offense and trailing by 1 touchdown, watch their fullback, number 44, and Glenn Austin is one of a couple of brothers that have some great stories behind them. He works with his father during the summer full-time, part-time during the season. His father, Milton, collects garbage in their town, and he muscles up to those cans, works them, and says it has made him a stronger player overall because of all that work. He works with his 2 brothers and including with a little bit with his cousin Anthony, also on the team. Now the other side of the coin, defensive back that you'll see over here, Joe Schmolbach, his father's also helped him out in his football career. His father's the offensive coordinator at Augustana. Back upstairs, guys.
On the Austin side, that does give new meanings to the term blue-collar player, doesn't it? 1st and 10. Severado hit hard as he gets it across the 31-yard line as he is brought down by defensive left tackle David Freeman, a 6-foot senior.
The alignment, the defensive alignment that Rockridge has, it really ends up giving them an 8-man front, and they can play man-to-man on the pass, so they aren't susceptible to the pass as much as they would be if they were playing zone, trying to play the run first.
O'Brien wide to the top of your screen, Brown wide to the near side as they run out of the eye with Glenn Austin and Cecil Severado Jr. Matt Page throwing, and it is intercepted. Picked off by cornerback Brian Holford. That's 3 passes for Page, and he hasn't looked good on any one of them.
Well, it's a matter of practice, Tom, and you get a chance to see right here. He fakes the ball and then just really throws the ball up for grabs. And, of course, if you don't practice that all the time, you're going to have a difficult time when you go to throw the football.
First turnover of the game. And so the Rockets will take it over at the 40-yard line, 1st and 10. For the Rockets, that is their 14th interception of the year, their 26th takeaway. On the counter.
There's a flag there, Tom.
T.J. Roddy on the carry, and a penalty marker is down. T.J., a 5'7", 155-pounder.
And it would look like to me the preliminary call would be holding. Let's see what they have to say. Yep.
So it'll be 10 yards from the spot of the foul. See if we can find where the holding took place.
Well, it looks like that there was a big pile there, and you see the arms. Yep, there it is. One of the offensive linemen or is that's a wingback, is actually holding on to one of the legs of the Buffaloes. So
looked like the tight end Krambeck, 47.
it may just not supposed to do that kind of thing, and of course you pick that up very quickly when you have your linesman right in the mix.
They move it back to the 32, again 10 yards from the spot of the foul, so it's 2nd down and 18. Make it 1st and 18. Big hole up the middle. Sean Fuller, who was the starting quarterback last year and started to quarterback the first 2 games this year, but just was a little too nervous and jittery, and he actually prefers to come off the bench.
You'll see the Buffaloes are really looking. Instead of reacting to the football, they're looking for the ball instead of coming up to the ball, and that was a good example right there. They're just not reacting to the ball. They're waiting and waiting and waiting. If they watch the guards will take them to the play.
So on 2nd and 8, T.J. Riley bumps his way up the middle, and he gets to the 50-yard line and picks up 8 yards and is close to a first down. In fact, may have the first down. That shows confidence in your running game. You're back there 1st and 18, and you picked up that and then some with 2 running plays back to back.
And they're both the same plays, just run to a different side. And that's the way the wing T does. They try to take advantage of situations, and they'll flip their wing back from one side to the other. You have a right back and a left back, and of course then you can run the ball. And when you've got Fuller, you have a lot of choices there.
They'll bring in the change to see whether or not they're going to fresh set of downs for the Rockets. Looks like they're just inches shy, a couple of inches shy. So it'll be 3rd and officially 1. Rockridge, in their regular season schedule, played 2 playoff-bound opponents. They lost to Macomb and beat Farmington. Georgetown-Ridge Farm played 4. They lost to Watsig and Muhammad Seymour, first 2 games of the year. Then lost to St. Joseph Ogden, a team that Rockridge beat in the playoffs. And then they had to win the Unity game late just to keep alive. They had to win every game from the 8th game on to get all the way here to the finals.
All right, let's see if the Rockridge Rockets go with their main man, Jason Fuller, the fullback.
3rd and inches. That is Fuller. Slants a little bit. Gets the first down. Man, maybe a yard to spare as he's to the Buffalo 49-yard line.
Now, the last time they ran the fullback inside like that, then Schmulbach pulled it out and was running the keeper. On the replay, we'll see there's the handoff, just a little belly type action, and he just comes right off the tackle, right behind the tackle, and that's the way you want to run the belly. That's a little different than you'll see some option teams because they're running a little different angle.
Great job by the tight end Krambeck and the tackle on Averas to seal off that side for Fuller. Great pitch back. And running for his life across the way at the 50-yard line is Josh Wheatley.
That was one of the first times that the Buffaloes reacted to the ball. There's a fake to the fullback, there's a fake to the crossback, and then of course the pitch to the wingback. And again, that's another Fuller.
That's Josh Wheatley there.
You're right, I'm sorry.
And he is a strapping, 5'6", 130 pounds.
You know, we get into routine here calling Fuller and Fuller, and they put somebody else in there for him.
That's Sean Fuller. Was the 3rd man to touch the football.
Right, and that's the 2nd man through on the fake from Schmulbach.
So it'll bring up 3rd and 10 now from the Georgetown 48-yard line with 8:53 to go in the first half in our 2A title game. Rockridge now controls the football, leading 7-0. Rockridge out of the Olympic Conference. Schmulbach throwing, completes it to Mike Fuller, and he is out of bounds at the 31-yard line, and another first down for the Rockets.
That's one of the reasons why a running team can be so effective on play action. You fake to the fullback, that holds everybody, and then he just takes a 4 or 5 step drop, and he just throws the wingback out into the flat. And it's just so effective, and it looks great, and it really makes a football team look bad because they're playing the run so much.
It's at the 31, as Schmulbach, you see, has completed just a little bit over 50% of his passes for over 600 yards. Schmulbach looks like maybe a busted play, and he's swarmed over Back at the 35-yard line for a loss of 4. Shooting through there, the linebacker Jason Weiss, their leading tackler with 75 stops this year.
There's a number of tackles, solos, and he's got 28 solos with a total of 75. So he obviously is the rock for their defense. But one of the things about the defense is that they're playing a 6-1, and every time they run the fullback inside, he's taking the linebacker. There's no other linebacker for the second back through. That's why they've been so effective.
Georgetown now looks like it's beginning to adjust to the play-action fakes, as that time T.J. Ronnie fights to get to the 32-yard line and picks up just 2 yards. Now remember the first drive, every gain was 5 yards or more. Now you've had in the last 2 plays a loss of 3 and a gain of only 2. And it's a 3rd and long, 3rd and 10 coming up, 3rd and 11 now for the Rockets.
Well, it looks like Georgetown is settling down a little bit, and they're not watching the ball as much as they are training themselves to watch the people that they were assigned to.
Going wide out is Brian Hofer. Back to throw Schmolbach. Going deep and overthrowing the intended receiver. That was Hofer, who had single coverage on him as he was running a corner route, and it'll be 4th down coming up.
There's the fake to the fullback. Hides it well. Schmolbach is back, throws it, and it looked to me right here, Tom, that had he not fallen, he might have had a chance. He actually looked like he took a leap at the ball a little bit too soon.
And it's one thing to go ahead and take advantage of the play fake, but if your quarterback can't deliver the football, which up until now Schmolbach's been able to do, then the passing game is not going to be effective.
Right, and on the replay you could see that he actually tried to lay himself out to try and catch the ball a little bit too soon.
Severado and Austin were providing coverage and double team coverage on that play as the whistles blow, and I think somebody's going to take time. Timeout taken by the Rockets as they face a 4th and long. 7:04 to go in the first half in our battle for the 2A state championship. Rockridge leading 7-0 on Sports Channel. Back at Hancock Stadium, Tom Stocker, Bill Gorley, Rockridge facing 4th and 11. This drive now has consumed, this is the 11th play, and nearly 4 minutes off the clock. 3 minutes 52 to be exact. 6:59 left to go first half, and they're going to try a field goal. A 49-yard field goal attempt coming up here for John Phillips out of the hold of Sean Fuller. Was that a fake? He just kicked the ball right into the line. He never got any altitude on it, and it almost looked like he pulled up when he came and approached the football.
It looked like he was going to be a fake, Tom. I don't know if he was afraid to kick it or
he was probably expecting the holder, Fuller, to pull out of there and maybe roll out. But nobody released either.
No. And none of the players released out to the outside.
That's what I mean. Nobody released to the outside, and it just looked like Phillips just double clutched and pulled up. So Georgetown will take it over on downs, 1st and 10 at the 37.
This is probably the best field position that the Rockets have had, or the Buffaloes have had, I'm sorry.
Running play up to the 37-yard line, just back to the line of scrimmage as we head down to the sidelines. Joe Passion.
All right, guys, you look at the replay of that fake field goal attempt, and you will find out is it indeed a fake field goal attempt. You'll watch as the kicker will come up and actually try and just glide the ball into that running back that cuts across, and that's his idea of trying to make that fake and make it a run for a first down. This time it didn't work.
Different way of putting the ball in play, that's for sure. Busted play for Matt Page, and he is dropped for a loss of a yard back at the 36-yard line as coming through there, the outside linebacker Brian Calvert, a 5'10 junior who is a real student of the game, in the words of his head coach Rick Amy. Matt Page. The offense, not a lot of success so far for Georgetown-Ridge Farm.
There's a good example of a hit right there. Boy, you've got people wrapping up and people coming up to make the play. That's the kind of way you want to see the defensive play.
3rd and 11 from the 36. Page, a quick two-step drop, overthrows Brown, juggling try. No, he can't hang on at the 40-yard line. Covered quickly by Brian Hofer, but that play would have only picked up about 3 yards. It would have brought down a 4th and long anyways.
Watch this. He tips it with one hand. Looks like he's coming back to try and get it again. Then he takes it with his right hand and almost gets and pulls it in. And as he goes down, he loses control of the ball.
With Page's throwing to Brown, Brown's going to come back and say, hey, I'm only 5'9". Everything's been overthrown to him.
That's true. He's also laying himself wide open for people to hit him in the back.
Back to punt is Brown. Gets a beauty away. T.J. Riley just watches it bounce out of bounds on the near sidelines. Down near the 20. We'll have to see where they line it up.
Jason Fuller for Rockridge, the linebacker, is really an active linebacker. He's been in almost all the plays, and we saw him on a replay there. And I just want to give him credit because he's really in on the plays, and he really has a nose for the football defensively, Tom.
Brown a punt of 43 yards. There's Carlos Severano Jr., who's got to kickstart this Georgetown-Ridge Farm offense that has been, for the most part, bottled up by the Rockridge defense.
Well, Rockridge would certainly like to get a patterned drive here and be able to go in at the halftime with a little bit more relaxation, so to speak, because since that first drive, they really haven't gotten their wing tee in motion here.
Quick handoff to the fullback, Jason Fuller, as he's up to the 25-yard line, the pick of a 4.
Well, you always want to start off your wing tee with a fullback because you want to be able to run plays in series. And they're trying to see what kind of coverage. Are they staying with a 6-1 like they were having success with the second back through because the linebacker was coming up and the fullback was taking him, so you had no other linebacker to make the play. Let's see how they follow this one with their first run with the fullback.
From the 25, 2nd and 6. Give to the fullback once again, and powering his way, Jason Fuller to the 32-yard line, maybe a little bit past the 32. It picks up 7 and has an apparent first down for the Rockets. Yes, first down, Taylor Ridge, Rockridge.
Well, he's a real rock. That guy just played, he was in on 3 tackles defensively, and now, of course, he's gotten the ball the first 2 times on the offensive series.
1st and 10, 4:28 left to go in the second quarter. Rockridge with the ball in a 7-0 lead. A fake to Fuller. Schmolbach had a seam, was just tripped up as he came across the 35-yard line. Just getting a hand on him was a lineman, Roy Durkee. Just got his hand as he came through that hole.
Well, again, you're seeing a 6-1 defense. You're seeing Jason Fuller come in and block the linebacker, and then the second back will come out and take the first secondary man he sees, and Schmolbach will come up behind to try and keep the ball and make some yardage, which is what they were successful on their first drive when they scored a touchdown. Time.
They're picking up 4 yards plus per carry so far. That one, though, may not get 4 as Jason Fuller to the 40-yard line picks up 3. Bringing up a 3rd down and about 3 yards to go. So far in the game, Rockridge with a decided edge in the ground game. Nearly 100 yards already for the ball game. Georgetown-Ridge Farm held to a mere 40 thus far. 3rd and 3.
Georgetown seems to be adjusting, and they're bringing in a man to make a play on a second man through.
Sean Fuller has a first down up to the 46-yard line before Roy Durkee in there on the stop along with Carlos Severano as well as a couple of other defensive linemen for the Buffaloes. But it's another first down for Rockridge, and they keep this drive going. First down statistics going to be lopsided as well.
Sean Fuller and David Cramback are out, and we've got some new players in there for Rockridge.
Here you see 9 first downs for Rockridge, just 2 for Georgetown. Off the play action fake, looking for Hofer. The ball up for grabs, incomplete at the 30-yard line. Brian Hofer battling Anthony Austin, and Austin actually had a better shot at it.
Yes, he did, and what we'll see on a replay, when he comes down, he actually hit the ball with the turf, and that caused the ball to drop. Here you'll see him at the highest point, going up for the interception.
Great position.
Yes, super for a defensive end. Now he comes down, and up, he lost it right there.
Actually, credit Hofer with breaking up the play from behind.
Right,
he turned defensive back.
Exactly. He broke it up so that there was not an interception.
2nd and 10 from the 46.
Look how close that fullback is to the line of scrimmage. He's about 2 yards from the line of scrimmage.
There's no room for error in the handoff.
No, there isn't. And if you get any penetration from the defense, you can really create havoc between that fullback and quarterback because they have to have the mesh, Tom. They have got to have that in order to make the wing tee successful.
That's what makes Schmolbach's ball handling ability so impressive because he gets that ball deep into the fullback's gut, and he's right there on top of him almost as soon as he gets the snap.
And he also has to know when to pull it to be able to get to the second back.
On 3rd and 9, they dump it off to Fuller, and the ball's loose. And looks like Rockridge got a friendly bounce. Looks like they've got it up at the 47-yard line, shy of the first down. But they picked up yardage on the fumble, and a penalty marker is down back at the 42. And it's going to be, looks like, an illegal forward pass.
Yes. Well, let's take a look on the replay and see if we can see that.
That'll mean loss of the down.
He threw behind behind a quarter. I don't understand that call. I don't see that. That doesn't show us.
Let's see where the quarterback is when he throws it. Line of scrimmage is the 47. Roughing the passer. There we go.
I guess. Okay. Now he changed it. There we go. All right.
Roughing the passer. I was wondering because it certainly the indication certainly looked like it was intentional grounding.
Yeah, it was a legal pass. There was nothing wrong with the pass. So I'm glad he straightened that out for us.
From the 37. Sean Fuller counters around through the right side and dives inside the 35 to the 34-yard line, and he picks up 3. Sean Fuller carried the ball for over 500 yards this year. Has good speed, runs hard, but again, he was the quarterback last year, and some kids just can't handle that situation. He's one of those guys that'd rather say, give me the ball, tell me where to run.
Well, and he has that wingback mentality, and he does it very well. There's what I was talking about, Tom, in regards to the mesh between the quarterback and the fullback. You got penetration, and there's no way that you can run a wing tee when you get that type of penetration.
Matt Page and Glenn Austin shooting through there as Schmolbach was able to get it back up to the 35-yard line and avoid losing any yardage on the play. Let's take a look at that one again.
Well, you see Matt Page, who's also a quarterback, come in. He's a linebacker, and there's the mesh. And that's exactly what you have to do, how you have to play it. Glenn Austin came in and ruined the mesh with the penetration, and then the linebacker, Page, comes up and makes the play. Now, he sold himself out. Austin sold himself out to be able to do that, and that's disrupting the whole total offense.
But it also looked like a bit of a lack of communication between Brown, the center, and Carlson, the right guard, because I think both of them thought the other guy was going to pick up Austin, and he just shot right through between the two of them.
That sometimes when you have people in the gaps like that, that really creates a problem for you.
The broadcast rights to today's game have been granted to Sports Channel by the IHSA, and any reproduction or rebroadcast of this event without the express written consent of the IHSA and Sports Channel is strictly prohibited. Did you model for that mascot uniform there?
Hey, that's part-time jobs.
So 1:23 left in the first half. 3rd and 8 from the 35. Back to throw, Schmolbach being chased, and he is not going to get back to the line of scrimmage. Dropped all the way back at the 42-yard line, a loss of 7.
And every time they go back to throw the ball, they lose the continuity of their running game. Now, there was a stunt between the defensive tackle and defensive end on the far side, and they were able to come in there and make that play.
So it'll bring up 4th down and 16 yards to go. Now, last time, we saw a rather unusual fake field goal. I don't think they'll try that here. It would be a 60-yard attempt from this point, so it looks like they're going to bring in Bob Horn, and he'll look to nail one in the corner.
And again, Bob Horn on the season averages 38 yards a punt.
They're going to get him some extra room, taking the intentional delay of game. Give him an extra 5 yards. It'll move it back to the 48-yard line and give him some room to work with for the Coffin corner. 32 seconds left to go, second quarter, 7-0 Rockridge.
Delay of the game on the offense. 4th down.
So they move it back to the 48. They will drop now. Georgetown will, both Severado and Brown as twin safeties. Bo Carlson will be doing the long snapping for the Rockets. Horn gets it away. He's knocked down and a penalty marker is thrown. Taken by Severado at the 13-yard line. Somebody made contact. Horn, with an Academy Award-winning performance, aided the call.
Definitely was, the call is going to be roughing the kicker.
It is roughing the kicker. Take a look at it.
See it on the replay and see if there really was contact or if it was an acting job.
Looks like it was Jamie Lashbrook who went up. Oh, just nailed him hard. Oh, hit him so hard into tomorrow.
Well, this is a better angle right here. He just actually went up, and then, of course, he ran into him. And kickers, I think, they actually take ballet lessons to learn how to do that so they can pick up that penalty. But, you know, when you're kicking a ball like that,
that's
Tom,
your job.
When you're kicking a ball like that, you're really in a precarious position. You really can't brace yourself for a hit, and that's why you have to have those kind of calls.
So it's an automatic first down as the ball is up to the 33-yard line. And let's see if Rockridge, with 26 seconds left, can take advantage of the new life of the drive. There's Fuller to the 20, to the 18-yard line, before he's stopped by the free safety, Anthony Austin, as well as right tackle Eric Kosat.
They went a little wider on this. They gave the fullback to the wider mesh was to the outside of the tackle, and he just turned it up inside. And what happened was the linebacker flew out of there and came in. The fullback, Sean, or is it Jason? I'm sorry. We got all those Fullers in there. Jason came in behind the linebacker because the linebacker flew out trying to get into pursuit, not knowing that the fullback had the ball.
So it's just outside the 18 and another first down, and Rockridge, with 20 seconds left, takes its last time out. They lead 7-0. This is the 14th play of this drive that has consumed nearly 5 minutes right now. Rockridge, which I think statistically at halftime will dominate the stats, but leading only by one score.
And off of that play, Tom, there's a definite threat there. Now, before you noticed they ran the option. And, of course, they widened the defensive end with a fullback who came up inside. Now let's see if they run a series here where they actually run the option.
Rockridge without any timeouts left in just 20 seconds if they're going to try to take advantage of that roughing the kicker penalty and get on the scoreboard again. Smolbach back to throw. In trouble. He's sacked back at the 28-yard line. Blake Hawkins, defensive right end, along with their number 90, Shane Lozelle, a hard-nosed player who likes to hit. Combine on the sack, and the clock will run out, and Rockridge will not get any more points on the board. Let's take a look and see at the last play of the first half.
They felt like they had to throw the ball and not run the option. There you're getting some pressure. You're just not getting the blocking up front. And Smolbach doesn't get back as fast as you normally would with a passing team, and he wasn't able to throw the ball.
So through the first half of our battle for the 2A state championship, the Rockets of Rockridge ahead in the ball game by the score of 7-0. On this beautiful afternoon here at Hancock Stadium, campus of Illinois State University in Normal, our big championship weekend here on Sports Channel. We will crown all 6 level titleists, with 3A and 4A coming up later today here on Sports Channel. The 5A and 6A titles will be decided tomorrow here on the turf at Hancock Stadium. Let's go down to the sidelines. Joe Passion.
Rick, a 7-0 lead that looked like a moment ago is going to be 14-0 that quickly. Some good opportunities have gotten away. How do those things change in the second half?
Well, I think that we've made some basic mistakes here. You know, we've had letdowns throughout the game that we shouldn't have. We read it first drive the ball right down and scored, and defense done a fantastic job, and then we come back and, you know, make mental errors out there. Well, like calling that timeout, you know, and it's, we need to go one more play before we call that timeout, you know, and it's because we had an opportunity, right, to kick a field goal there and score and didn't get it. So, yeah, we've got some things to correct here.
Main thing on defense, though, they seem to be playing a pretty good game and also are getting some breaks themselves.
Yes, we've got a few breaks there, and we stepped out of bounds over here. That was a nice break, and defense has really stepped it up for us, so they've done a nice job, real nice job.
Rick, have a great second half. Thanks so much. Coach Rick Amey And his Rockets right now lead 7-0 here at the break of our Class 2A State Football Championship game. And we'll send it back upstairs now to the boys, Tom and Coach Bill.
Thank you, Joe. 7-0. The Rockets of Rockridge in front at halftime of our 2A title game as your Georgetown-Ridge Farm. You think, hey, we're not far out of this game at all, despite the way they played in the first half. We'll have more on our first half, more of our halftime festivities coming your way as our state championship coverage continues here on Sports Channel.
Back here on a beautiful, sunny, cool afternoon in central Illinois. Hancock Stadium is the site again of the high school football state championship games. And here at the break of the boys Class 2A state title game, it's a 7-0 lead by the Rockets of Rockridge over the visiting Buffaloes of Georgetown-Ridge Farm. So far, it's been kind of an interesting game. Both teams have played a little tennis with each other out here on the AstroTurf in beautiful, mild conditions, beautiful sunny skies with temperatures in the lower 50s. But there have been some mistakes on the part of both teams, and the mistakes have really not led, except the early part of the game, one touchdown, and that's the only score of this first half. It came in an early scoring drive, actually a long drive that culminated in this fine, strong run around off tackle in for the score from just a few yards out, and that made it 6-0. The point after was good, and a 7-0 Rockets lead. They have gone back and forth throughout the first half, but no one else has been able to get inside that stingy end zone here, including very late here in the first half when the Rockets, apparently with the help of two penalties that gave them the ball inside the 25-yard line of the Buffaloes, could not get the ball in, were sacked, the quarterback sacked later, and of course it was a difficult time for them. Penalties also playing a little bit of that edge. Both coaches, I'm sure, are looking to take that edge off their teams going in. Coming up, Steve Cash will be coming up after the break with more updates live from our Sports Channel studios in Oak Park. And meantime, we'll take a break here. The 2A championship game at the break. It's the Rockets leading the Buffaloes 7-0.
The second half right around the corner for our Class 2A state championship. Rockridge leading Georgetown-Ridge Farm 7-0. Tom Stalker, Bill Gorley back with you. Take a look at these two teams. If you're Rockridge, you say, we dominated the first half but only lead by 7. Georgetown could say, we didn't play very well. We're only one score out.
Well, I think that's right. Georgetown's going in knowing they didn't play very well the first half, and they know they still have a chance. The big thing is their quarterback, Matt Page, and their big tailback. I say big tailback, but he's nearly not a
big gainer.
He's the big gainer.
Yeah.
They're playing defense, and they're on defense so long time, you have to wonder if that's taking a toll for them to play a good game offensively.
Let's take a look. A couple of highlights from the first half. Rockridge on their very first drive methodically march it from their 37 down to the 6-yard line. And Joe Schmolbach, great ball handler, will just keep it off the fake and take it in.
But what we saw there was a fullback was taking on the linebacker, and then the second back on the fake picked up the defensive halfback, and Schmolbach was just able to run right in. And that was a serious play off of the wing tee.
On the very next drive, it looked like Austin was off to the races on a 60-yard run on a simple trap play, and this is why Georgetown 6 inches away from a tie game right there as he stepped out of bounds at the 36-yard line.
Right, and of course they thought they were right back in the football game, not having played well, and there's the stats that shows what happened the first half.
Dominated, as you can see, by Rockridge, 11 first downs to 2. Total offense, 114 for Rockridge, only 40 total yards for Georgetown-Ridge Farm, and time of possession also in Rockridge's favor as well. And really, in that first half, Severado not the big factor that Georgetown needed him to be. Rockridge leads 7-0 as we get ready for the second half.
All right, Greg Edwards, Buffaloes trail only by a touchdown here at the break, 7-0. And Coach, you look here at your Buffaloes, and really, you're right there in the ball game still.
For as badly as we played, we're in it. They didn't do anything that we didn't expect. Now we just have to come out and make the offense work.
Besides refining the machinery, what are the things you want to try and accomplish out here that wasn't accomplished in that first half?
We just got to move the ball.
Okay, Coach, go get him. Thank you very much. And really, it's as simple as that. We've just got to move the football. So we'll move it back upstairs to Tom and Bill.
As we were saying just before we went into the break, Bill, was that Cecil Severado Jr., who has gained nearly 2,000 yards this year, over 8 yards a carry, has really been bottled up by Rockridge's defense, and he has not been the factor that Jason Fuller has on the other side of the line.
Well, Rockridge is starting to commit 9 defenders to stop the running game, and of course that's tough. I don't care if you're Cecil Severado or if you're Gail Sayers or whoever. It's pretty tough to run against 9 people. They don't fear the passing game, and of course going in we said that both of these teams do not like to pass the football, and the Georgetown Buffaloes, I believe, if they really want to get back in this game, have got to start playing a little better on the pass, throwing play action, or they're going to have a problem.
This is just our second of a week-long full of action here over the weekend. As coming up tonight, stay tuned as Sports Channel will present the 3A championship at 4:30. Bloomington Catholic against DuQuoin. And then Bill and I will be back at 7 o'clock for the 4A title game. This should be a dandy. The defending 5A titleist from Belvedere against a perennial 4A power, the Morris Redskins. And tomorrow, live at 12 noon, the 5A title game, Palatine against New Lenox Providence. And we'll wrap it up. Our 6th championship of the weekend will be crowned starting at 2:30 tomorrow. Naperville North, the 92 state champs in 6A, against Homewood Flossmoor. Finally in the big show for the first time in that school's great football history. And that's all coming your way right here on Sports Channel. So stay with us for a great weekend full of the best Illinois high school football around. As we culminated all this weekend, Georgetown-Ridge Farm trailing 7-0 as we get ready for the second half. And again, as I think Greg Edwards said it, we played miserable football in the first half, and we're a foot on the sidelines away from being right back in the football game.
Well, as a coach, you obviously don't feel good about the fact that you didn't play well, but you know that you're still in the football game. You're one touchdown away from making this an even ball game. So you know you've got 2 quarters to be able to get some things straightened out. It's easier to talk to the kids saying we're only down 7-0 as opposed to 27-0, and you can convince them to do the things that you need to do to be able to get back in the football game.
Obviously, Georgetown's got to find a way to get the running game in gear. They're not going to be able to do it, at least the way we saw their passing game operate in the first half. They just cannot throw the football.
Right, and I really believe that it's really up front, Tom. I mean, they've got to be able to go after those quicker people. The Buffaloes are bigger than the Rockets, so there's no reason why they can't start drive blocking, getting those people out, and let Cecil Severado do the thing that he does best, run the football.
This Georgetown team knocked off Moreau, Forsyth, Decatur, St. Teresa, Rushville, and Dupo getting here to the finals. You see Rockridge will open the second half with possession and defend the south goal here at Hancock Stadium, and Georgetown-Ridge Farm will kick off as the Rockets beat the Havana Ducks. St. Joseph Ogden, who plays in Georgetown's conference, the Illini Central, Ottawa Marquette, and the #1 rated team in Class 2A, Byron.
But you have to remember something too about Georgetown, Tom. They won 2 football games in the playoff by a point. So a close football game is not something new for these people, except of course this is a championship game and you're in Hancock Stadium at Illinois State University. But the point is they have been in close football games. They know what they have to do, and they're within striking distance.
So there you see the scene here at Hancock Stadium on a beautiful, beautiful afternoon here, a day after Thanksgiving. Especially compared with some of the conditions we have had here. Ice, snow, wind, rain. This is simply tropical.
I'd like to ask Joe how he's doing with all that long underwear down there, because he's not used to having this hot weather.
I'll tell you what, they did a great job this year. We've got heaters all over the place, and we get a delightful day like this here today at Hancock Stadium. All right, it'll be Georgetown kicking off. That's J.R. Ewing. That's right, J.R.'s back. Survived the
shooting, did he?
Kicks it to an up man. That's John Phillips, who returns it up to the 45-yard line, and the Rockets will have it in great shape to start this first drive of the second half at their own 45.
Well, I don't think this is where Georgetown wanted to have Rockridge start the football. They certainly would have liked to have him a lot deeper, and it'll be interesting. I'd like to see if they come out with Jason Fuller, the fullback again, just to see if they're going to set up a little series here and to be able to drive the ball like they did at the beginning of the first half.
There's quarterback Joe Schmolbach, 5'11" junior, as he sets him up out of the wing tee, and the fullback Jason Fuller slicing his way up across the 50 to the Georgetown 48-yard line, and he picks up 8 yards.
You know, that's just their basic play. They want to see how the defense is going to be able to play their offense, so why not just give it to the fullback and just see how they play, and we'll go from there.
Georgetown has yet to consistently stop that inside running game of Rockridge. 2nd and 2 from the 48. Just underway, 3rd quarter, 2A championship game. Rockridge with the ball in a 7-0 lead. That's T.J. Riley. And a counter play through the right side to the 42-yard line. And another first down for Rockridge, their 10th of the game.
And we're going to see the replay right here. There's the fake to the fullback and give to the second man. And there's a big hole because the middle linebacker is overcommitting to the fullback. And we've got some people up front. Mike Gillihan, Scott Brown, Bo Carlson. They're the people that are doing the blocking. They're the ones that are responsible for this yardage.
Gillihan with a great job pulling from the left side to lead the block. And this is Mike Fuller bouncing off a tackle and finding a seam and diving down to the 37-yard line, another gain of 5 yards. This is exactly the way that Rockridge operated on their first drive of the game when they scored their lone touchdown.
You know, when you see Mike Fuller run, you can see why he wasn't a quarterback this year, because he just doesn't have the right mentality to do that kind of thing. He wants to bang people, and he's very well suited as a wingback. He's ideal for that position.
Fuller and Fuller the backfield, Fuller the wingback. This time to give to T.J. Riley, who's in there for Sean Fuller. And T.J. finds the going tough there off the right side, gets just a yard to the 36, bringing up a 3rd and 4.
Georgetown is getting a lot more penetration, and if you can do that against the wing T, you're going to be successful. And Blake Hawkins was in on that last play, as we see a picture of him right there. And he's got to continue to do that. He's a big one. He's 5'11", 235, so he can overpower those smaller people of the Rockridge offensive line.
3rd down. And this is Mike Fuller with a first down, still on his feet to the 25 and down to the 24-yard line. Finally, Eli Potter brings him down from behind, along with another lineman, Eric Kosat.
There's your fullback to the your fake to the fullback, and of course then Mike Fuller just comes back on the opposite side, and that's a great football play. That's very hard to diagnose, so you have to react. You have to have a reacting defense to the two pulling guards. They'll take you to the football play, as I mentioned before.
After the gain of 12, this time Schmolbach keeps it. And he's close to the 20-yard line, picks up 3, maybe 4, as the strong safety Scott Gunner in there helping out on the tackle for Georgetown-Ridge Farm. But this is simply nothing other than just pure offensive execution.
Right, and when you see Matt Page, who's a linebacker on the outside, well, he might in this scheme be a defensive end. When he goes inside, Rockridge then counters with the counter outside, and that's really hurting him.
That's Sean Fuller up the middle, inside the 15 to the 13-yard line. Jason Weiss, the linebacker, in on the stop for Georgetown-Ridge Farm, but it's another first down, and that is the 3rd first down of this drive that began on the Rockets' 45.
And you know, Tom, this is almost a patented drive that they had at the beginning of the football game. It almost looks like the same play. Now, if we see Schmolbach keep the ball, it definitely will be, because this is where he ran the keepers for the first touchdown.
And they go to the full house backfield, literally. And that one gets down to the 9-yard line. Looked like T.J. Riley in a minute. Nope, that was Jason Fuller. Jason Fuller, the 5'10", 175-pound junior who has carried the ball for over 1,000 yards this year. He's just built like a fullback.
You know, it's nice. You can always say Fuller had the ball, and you're never going to be wrong.
I wonder how dinners go in that household, though.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, if they win this, that's going to be one heck of a family celebration.
2nd and 7 from the 10 for Rockridge. Jason Fuller just backpedaling his way, driving with those powerful legs down to the 8-yard line. He picks up a couple of yards. You saw the center, 52, Scott Brown, leading the blocking for the Rockets, as 34, Eric Kosat in there on the tackle for the Buffaloes. But this drive just keeps moving closer to that Buffalo goal line. 7-0, Rockridge leads.
Right now, they went a little wide on that particular play, and you can't help but wonder, will they come out with an option, or will they play it and hug to the ground and try and hold on to the football?
Keeping it is Schmolbach, and he is in for the touchdown. His second of the afternoon. And that time he just followed the blocking and followed the convoy into the end zone.
Well, they set it up. It was a little series where they give it to the fullback, and then he pulled it out. It was a belly ride. He was actually riding the ball, and the fullback pulled it out and just waltzed in.
Schmolbach, second running touchdown of the afternoon. The extra point attempt for John Phillips. And it is good, and it's 14-0 in favor of the Rockets of Rockridge with 7 minutes and 17 seconds remaining in the third quarter of our 2A title game.
Here's the replay on the touchdown. Schmolbach fakes to the fullback. You've got the other wingback coming back possibly for the setup of the option, but Schmolbach keeps the ball, drives in, and gets a score. And again, those plays, as we looked at it, looked like it was almost scripted from the first drive that they made when they scored in the first quarter for their touchdown earlier in the game.
They scored on a 63-yard drive in the first quarter, 55-yard drive here.
There's the angle, and there's the wingback coming back out, but there's no way that Schmolbach was even going to think of running the option off of that. He kept the ball and just went in behind his fullback, Jason Fuller, for the touchdown.
10 very methodical plays on that drive, just workmanlike. It's another day at the office for the offensive Rockridge. The kick by Bob Horn. Headed for the far side, and it'll bounce out of bounds. Now they can either take a 5-yard penalty and make him kick it over. They could take it at the 35-yard line. And right now, I'd probably take it at the 35.
The way things are going for Georgetown, I'm sure they'll just be happy to get the ball and try and see if they can't get their offense untracked here with Cecil Severado.
And so this will be the first crack at the ball for the Buffalo offense. As you see the drive once again, 10 plays, 55 yards, taking nearly 5 minutes, culminating with Schmolbach's 8-yard touchdown run, 14-0 Rockridge over Georgetown-Ridge Farm.
You know, we've got an awful lot of people in this game that are going both ways, and you have the same for the Rockets of Rockridge. Now, Jason Fuller, I think, is one of the better defensive players for the Rockets, if not the best defensive player. And this is tough for a fullback to take that kind of beating and then come back here and play linebacker.
Huge possession here for the Buffaloes as they run Severado up the middle to the 36-yard line, only a gain of a yard. Cecil Severado, who had averaged over 7 yards a carry, has been stymied and held in check by this Rockridge defense so far. Look at the lopsided edge. Rockridge with 15 first downs, only 2 thus far in the game for Georgetown-Ridge Farm, but now they're down by 2 scores.
Yes, now it makes a big difference, and this is where you really have a difficulty when you can't throw the football, Tom. Now they've got 2 wide out, so they're spreading out a little bit. Maybe they're going to throw the football here.
They give to Glenn Austin. No, check that, a counter play. The flanker, Scott Gunner, as he comes around from the flanker on the right side and comes back around left. And Gunner, a 5'7", 185-pound senior, can bench press 325 pounds and also runs track on the 400-meter relay. And let's head down to the sidelines. Joe Passion.
We had mentioned earlier, Tom, that Joe Schmolbach's father, who used to be the Rockridge coach after having a great career at Geneseo, now the offensive coordinator at Augustana, he actually seen his son play for the first time ever in a playoff game, and his son is not letting him down on either side of the football.
The toss to Severado, and he has a first down for the Buffaloes up near midfield. Just the 3rd first down of the ball game for Georgetown.
We'll get a little look at the quick pitch to Severado, and he gets outside. He just outquicks the defense just by getting to the outside, and that's the kind of thing that the Buffaloes need to do. They're playing against a 5-3 defensive alignment, man-to-man in the secondary, so they need to do some formations and do quick pitches to be able to get them out of that defense.
And also maybe open up the inside a little bit more.
Well, they need to widen a little bit, Tom. They need to get those creases so that Severado can get in there.
1st and 10 from the midfield stripe. Page in trouble, and he is hauled down by nose tackle Bob Horn, who just shot through there, and Page never had a prayer. All the way back to the 43-yard line, a loss of 7.
And there, of course, they're sending everybody. They're coming after people, and they're playing real active in there. And the nose guard is the gentleman that really created the situation there. Bob Horn. Bob Horn really did the job because if he didn't make the tackle, he certainly created the tackle.
He beat Lucas Kelly, the center. Beat him badly on the play. It's 2nd down and 17 back at the 43. They're going to credit the 44, make that. Quick pass, leaping catch, Brown. He dumps it off to Severano. And he may have a first down. He does at the 40-yard line, and a late penalty marker thrown across the lane.
That was a nice football play, Tom, and that was bam, bam, and he was off. Severano knew exactly where. They really timed it well. Here's the pass. High one, of course, will be a little higher than you'd like, but that was a nice pitch back to Severano, and he really didn't have to wait for it too long. Normally, timing gets to be a problem. Now let's see where that flag is.
See if we see a late hit well after the play goes across the sideline. Wait till it goes across the sideline.
There's Severano with the ball. He's out of bounds.
Has the first down, and it's a personal foul, tacked down after the gain on the play.
I have to wonder if maybe it wasn't the tackle on the wide receiver.
1st and 10 at the 25. The fullback Austin turning up the middle, not much, maybe a yard to the 24-yard line. The middle plugged up there by David Freeman, Bob Horn, and Justin Drish. The middle of the 5-3 defense run by Rockridge.
This is the offensive series that Georgetown really has to take advantage of. They have not had good field position like this all day, so they've really got to be able to take advantage of it in this series of downs right now, Tom.
2nd and 9. Georgetown in the playoff for the 6th time in their school history, and all 6 have come in the last 7 years, but until this year, have never gone past the 2nd round. Good keeper, Page. Oh, hit, bounces off the tackle and gets 4 yards to the 20-yard line. Oh, he was staggered for a moment, but kept his balance.
And you know who made that play? The quarterback, Schmuelbach. Watch the play. Now they widen out the defense a little bit, as we mentioned before. They put the two. There's Tom Schmuelbach. Boy, did he put his nose on that ball. He really whacked him. Boom! That's the way you want to play defense.
A great balance by Matt Page. Still picked up a couple of yards. It's 3rd and 5 at the 20. And you see Schmuelbach there trying to get the doghouse across the way, as they call themselves.
I think he was probably waving to his dad and said, hey, quarterback's been hit too.
Here is Severano to the 18-yard line, and he's not going to get the first down. They needed to get the ball inside the 15. So it'll be 4th down, and I don't think there's any question, but the Buffaloes have to go for it. With 3:14 left to go in the 3rd quarter, they trail 14-0. It'll be 4th down and a little under 3 yards to go as Greg Edwards.
They're going back to that wide-out formation. Now you want to look with the 8-man front. You want to look for the pitch on the option. It was there before. Now he called timeout. He saw something he didn't like and took timeout, Tom.
So that stops the action with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left to go here in the 3rd quarter. Rockridge leading 14-0. Even though there's a quarter left, Georgetown's chances could hinge right here. 4th down and 3 at the 18-yard line.
They got that formation to spread out that defense.
Page in trouble, and he is dropped for a loss by Sean Fuller back at the 28-yard line. Nobody touched him.
Well, he was uncovered, Tom. With the 2 wide outs, they didn't have enough people, and the Rockets just stayed in that tight defense. They didn't go with the spread, and they just sent Sean Fuller from the corner. You get a chance to look at it. There's Jason coming from one end, and there's Sean from the other. And he was uncovered. He was free as a bird.
He just flies in here from the right side of your screen, and Page had nowhere to go.
No opportunity whatsoever.
So the ball will go over on downs. The Rockets have it at their 26, 1st and 10. Jason Fuller sheds a tackle, gets outside, and he has a first down and then some to the 40-yard line to pick up a 14.
They almost run that fullback like a veer option, where they run him way outside the tackle. Sometimes they run him in tight, which is what I would call a belly. But then when they run him out wide like that, it's almost like a veer option. And he runs that extremely well. He's really got good balance, and he's able to turn it back up. And then, of course, when he sees it to the outside, just as he did in that particular play, he went and bounced it outside.
See that beard and mustache? I don't think I was shaving at that age.
Tom, I didn't shave until I was 21.
So, first and 10 from the 40. This is Mike Fuller. Says, all right, half-brother Jason, I can do it too. And he gets it to the 48-yard line, a pickup of 8. This is just a textbook example of Rockridge's wing tee. Of course, they brought it over from Geneseo. They basically used Geneseo's wing tee attack in Geneseo, one of the great Class 4A and 3A, 5A programs over the IHSA history.
And then Bob Reed took it to Augustana and made it popular at the three-level division for college football.
T.J. Riley getting a first down as he gets it across the midfield stripe to the Georgetown 49.
You know, though, I believe you're going to see more and more. Football runs in cycles, and the wing tee goes back to Forrest Evashevsky and Dave Nelson, and then, of course, Ara Parsegian ran it at Notre Dame, and that's where the misdirection came from the TV people. And it's always been a popular part of an offense, and I think you're going to see more of it because the defenses are catching up to people that throw the football.
Minute 34 left in the third quarter. Rockridge with the ball, leading by 14. Brian Calvert, a 5'10 junior, gets the call for the first time, gets a yard maybe, as he runs into a host of Buffaloes, including right tackle Eric Cosat, number 34. Brian Calvert, 5'10", 160-pound junior, running second team behind Jason Fuller.
The ball remains at the 48-yard line.
It'll bring up 2nd and 9.
Right now, Georgetown defensively is really crowding that line of scrimmage. They're playing a 6-2 now. They're trying to get a little more action. They're playing right now for a turnover, and when they do that, big plays will come off of that. Now, off of that particular play where you saw Schmolbach run the option keeper, you had the trail back, and it might be there in the next play.
Schmolbach picks up 7 on this play. A great ball fake again into the gut of Calvert.
Fake to the fullback. He didn't have any thoughts of optioning that football, but obviously if you run the series on a wing tee, that is always there.
And that's the play that sets up everything. Either you hand it off to the fullback or you fake it, and that's
everything.
Right.
Everything comes off of
right there. Everything works off that play. Another running play to the 40-yard line for the Rockridge Rockets. Close to the first down, but looks like about a yard shy, and it'll be 4th down coming up after the carry there, I believe, by Riley. And Rockets will talk it over as the third quarter runs out here in our Class 2A state championship game at Hancock Stadium at Illinois State University. Through 3 quarters, the Rockets of Rockridge lead Georgetown-Ridge Farm 14-0. One quarter left in the battle for the 2A state championship. Tom Stalker, Bill Gorley. Rockridge has the ball 4th and 1 at the Georgetown 40. Schmolbach keeping it. Got the first down and then some. To the 30, to the 25-yard line.
Well, Tom, he just runs that to perfection. He pulled the ball right. He knew when to pull it and didn't go down the line, inside the line to get caught up. And we'll get an example of that. He just faked it real quick, came off the hip of the fullback, and he's not even going to keep the relationship that he needs for the option. He was keeping the ball all the way. It's a keeper.
Anthony Austin finally driving him out of bounds, but not before Schmolbach picks up 16 yards. It's 1st and 10 at the Buffalo 24. Fullback up the middle. Jason Fuller back in the backfield now for the Rockets as he hammers it to about the 23, maybe a yard on the play.
Well, he got a little breather there. Brian Calvert was playing fullback, and there's a good graphic right there. Outscored the opponents 148-22 in the 4th quarter.
What's even impressive about that is with some of their games, you got to know that by this time in the game, the second team defense has to be in there at times, so they still hold the opponents to a very low total, just 22 points in the 4th quarter all season long. 2nd and 8 from the 22. The man in motion gets the call, Mike Fuller, and he is to the 8-yard line, a pickup of 14 more.
Now, Mike Fuller ran that inside, and actually, after he got past the linebackers, if he'd have turned it up and gone to the outside, it would have been 6 points.
Make it a gain of 9 to the 13. It should be enough for the first down. It is. It's 1st and 10. The ball just outside the 13-yard line of Georgetown-Ridge Farm, and right now Rockridge going in for the kill.
Well, one of the things that is important to note here is that Scott Brown, number 52, the offensive center, he's releasing on the Georgetown's middle linebacker, which gives him great running lanes.
Sean Fuller down to the 3-yard line before Shane Lazell saves a touchdown.
That was a good example of what we're talking about right there. You know, you can't say enough about that offensive line, and we'll see the replay right here. There's a release by the offensive center. He's really creating a center. Oh, great play. You've got Mike Fuller carrying the ball and blocking. I'm sorry, you got Sean Fuller carrying the ball. You got Mike Fuller making the block, and you've got the offensive center picking up the middle linebacker, Scott Brown.
It was a great seal block by Fuller on the linebacker that enabled Fuller to get down to the 3. It's 1st and goal. T.J. Riley, he is leveled hard as he got near the 1-yard line. He was flattened by number 13, strong safety, Scott Gunner.
When you have your safeties coming up making those key plays, you know you've got a problem all afternoon because they shouldn't be having to make as many of those tackles. You've got to make them up front with your linebackers and your down people. Let's see if we go with the keeper and with the fullback.
That's Sean Fuller getting to the 2.
Actually, Tom, they're running out of a full house backfield now as opposed to a wing T setup.
Right now, Rockridge has had the ball for nearly 11 minutes more in the game, or nearly a quarter, than Georgetown-Ridge Farm has had the ball so far in this football game, and it's 3rd and goal at the 3-yard line for the Rockets. 9 minutes, 44 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter.
And now they're back to the conventional wing T.
Schmolbach pitching it back to Mike Fuller. He's hit at the line, but spins in for the touchdown.
That play has been there all afternoon, and Schmolbach has just not paid attention to it because he was able to keep it and take it in himself. This time, he went with the pitch.
So Mike Fuller gets the 3rd touchdown of the game on the board for Rockridge, a 3-yard touchdown run. Another just workmanlike drive for Rockridge, a drive that began at their own 26-yard line.
It almost looks like all these plays are scripted. I believe at the beginning of the football game it was, and the same way at the beginning of the second half. There's a fumble on the snap for the extra point.
It's dumped off to Mike Fuller for 2. What a great job by Sean Fuller saying, hey, brother Mike, release. He did, and he got the pass to him for 2 points.
Well, you usually have a key word when you have a fumble back there, and usually it's fire or whatever, and that's the easiest word. And as soon as you hear that and you're on the outside and you're the end, you just take off.
Let's take a look at Mike Fuller's touchdown, the 3-yard. They get the pitch out to him, and he takes it, and he's the man in motion.
Fake to the fullback, and there's the pitch. And it's been there, as mentioned earlier, all day long. Schmolbach just has now said, hey, this is time to use it.
But now watch the holder, number 7, Sean Fuller. Can't come up with it cleanly. My keyword would be help at this point, as opposed to, I'd say, help somebody. And there is Mike Fuller, who gets 8 points alone to cap off this drive.
You just have a hot call, and as soon as the end hears that, he takes off. He doesn't know where the ball is, but he takes off, and it worked to their advantage. I guess if you're Georgetown, you're saying, hey, maybe this isn't our afternoon when something like that occurs.
22-0. Rockridge commandingly in front here in the battle for the 2A title game. And 9.5 minutes remain here in the 4th quarter at Hancock Stadium. This is Bob Horn in to kick off. The twin safeties are Severano and Brown. Brown watches it bounce by him and out of bounds inside the 10. So once again, they have the option. They can take it at the 35, and I'm sure that's probably what Georgetown will do, is take it 1st and 10 at the 35. Let's go down to the sidelines and our colleague Joe Passion.
All right, Tom, I'm sure you guys have noticed from your upstairs crib that long, wide, very large banner in front of the Rockridge fans on the opposite sidelines. Well, that banner was made by Gary and Ruth Hund along with their daughter Alicia. They actually made it out of their living room, which was so small they could only put 3 letters on at the time. And when it's rolled up, it weighs over 70 pounds. And one of the students had to carry it in because they got lost on the way here and separated, but they got it up in time, and right now they feel it's their biggest lucky charm, except for the players themselves. Back upstairs, fellas.
What have they got left to wrap meat in now? 1st and 10 from the 35. And that play loses a yard perhaps, and that's just been sort of a typical play for the way it's gone so far for the offense of Georgetown-Ridge Farm. Their big running star, Cecil Severano, bottled up for a loss of a yard.
It has to be a real frustrating afternoon. He's been playing a good game defensively and having to make a lot of tackles, and now he comes back offensively and he gets pounded. It really isn't real good for your psyche.
The drive, 74 yards, 13 very workmanlike plays, 5 minutes and 18 seconds consumed, and Fuller capped it off not only with the 3-yard touchdown, but the 2-point conversion. 2nd and 11. Severano trying to get outside. Pollard from behind as he gets up to the 40-yard line. And he picks up about 6 yards on the play. As in on the tackle for Rockridge was Josh Wagner.
And you have to like the pursuit that they've shown when Severano, anytime he's been able to get outside, you see 5-6 players, the Rockets, right out there, right after him.
It'll bring up 3rd and 5 for the Buffaloes. They got Brown wide to the left and a wide out wide to the right, and they work out of the eye. Severano set deep. Scott Gunner, the man in motion. Severano gets the pitch, trying to pick his way and gets back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, it's interesting, Tom. The Rockets are not paying any attention to the pass at all. No respect at all for the pass. There's the pitch. Back to Severano. Tries to get it inside, and Jason Fuller comes up and makes the play. And, of course, he's been making the plays offensively as well as defensively. Certainly one of the better plays. It looks like he might be injured. He might have hurt his hand there.
Either that or maybe picked up a bit of a stinger the way he's kind of limply holding that right arm as he's escorted off the field across the way. It'll be 4th down and 5 for Georgetown at their 40 and down by 22 points. And with just under 8 minutes left, they have no choice. Even here on their side of the 50, it's 4-down territory.
And you'll take a look. Schmulbach is up. He's a safety, and he's up right where the linebackers are, so they're not even worried about the pass at all.
Just a quick out looking for Jarvis Brown, and it was nowhere close. Brown single covered by Brian Hofer, and it'll go over on downs, and Rockridge will have it at the 40-yard line. And Georgetown has just not been able to solve this Rockridge defense at all today.
Now, I would think at this point they've got to start formation the Rockets out of that defense. They've got to be able to widen them out. If you want to be able to get Severano to be able to run, you've got to be able to use a little bit different formations, and of course now they're back on defense.
At the 40 of Georgetown, it is 1st and 10 for Rockridge. Oh, what a lick laid in there by the free safety Anthony Austin. That's the kind when you have been frustrated all day, you're down by 22, you at least get some satisfaction by laying a lick like that.
Well, he came up and really whacked him. That's a jackhammer job right there. Watch him come up now and make the play. Boom! I mean, he really put it to him.
One of those snot bubblers.
You know, that's the kind of hit you like to see, and that's what the game is all about, I guess.
2nd and 9 from the 39 of Georgetown-Ridge Farm. They give to John Phillips, who is the man in motion. He gets progress to the 34-yard line and a pickup of 5 yards.
You know, Rockridge at this point is substituting a little bit and putting some different people in to give him a little look.
And give them a chance of experiencing playing in a state championship game.
Well, not everybody has the opportunity to say that they played in a championship game, but John Phillips, of course, is a defensive back, but now he's getting a chance to be able to play a little offense.
You saw Rick Amy. He has led Rockridge to 2 wrestling dual-team championships in the state and is on the verge of leading them to their first football state championship. Schmolbach gets it away. It's up for grabs. It's taken by Hofer, who scores. It was up for grabs. Hofer took it away from the free safety Anthony Austin and takes it in for a 35-yard touchdown play with 6 minutes left to go in the 4th quarter.
Well, Jamie Lashbrook gambled a little bit. He went up for the ball to try and knock it down, and he missed it. And, of course, when that happens, the end result, Brian Hofer catches a touchdown pass and goes in to score.
So 35 yards. I tell you what, Schmolbach was throwing that one back on his heels, and the pressure was collapsing on him quickly.
I don't want him to throw the ball too high. It will bring rain. We don't need that right now.
The point after is good. And it's a 29-0 lead for the Rockets of Rockridge. We'll take a timeout here in the fourth quarter of the 2A state title game as Rockridge in command here on Sports Channel. Well, it was third down and long, and Joe Schmolbach just went ahead and put it up for grabs. And a great job by Brian Hofer, who just stole it away from the cornerback Jamie Lashbrook.
And Lashbrook is 6'1", and he gambled and he lost.
A return by Severado. Check that. Jarvis Brown to the 16-yard line, and that's where the Buffaloes will start this drive with 6:05 left to go. Let's take a look at maybe another angle on that touchdown.
Oh, you can see here where Jamie Lashbrook, number 33, tries to make the play. He had an opportunity to make the play, Tom, and he just guessed wrong.
He was beaten originally on the play, but then the ball being thrown so high into the air bought him time. He broke to the ball well, but just a good job there by Hofer.
But he was able to recover and then gambled to try and knock it down. Just keep both hands in front of it, try and actually catch the ball. He could have had an interception there.
Once again, Georgetown spreads him out. Severado with the big gain to the 20 to the 25. Look out, he could go all the way to the 50 and forced out of bounds at the 46-yard line.
Tom Schmolbach runs him out of bounds. Or Joe, I'm sorry, I keep calling him Tom. Joe Schmolbach from the safety position comes in. We'll see it on the replay. Now, Schmolbach actually has been playing very tight, and Severado breaks it to the outside, and now he's off to the races, going to the sidelines. Now, Severado doesn't have great speed. He has about 4.7 40, but Schmolbach, and there's a great play. He put his head across the body. When there's somebody on the sidelines, that's exactly the way you want to make a tackle to knock somebody out of bounds.
A gain of 36 yards for Severado, his only bright spot so far. There's a reverse. Jarvis Brown, just gets away in the backfield. He's to the 40, cuts back inside. He may go all the way to the 12. Gets a downfield block from Severado and scores 48 yards on the reverse to Jarvis Brown. That was where Georgetown gets on the scoreboard.
That's a reverse option, and it was a great football play. It's unfortunate that the Georgetown Buffaloes weren't able to unveil that a little earlier, but they certainly set it up well here late in the game.
Well, an example there of the offense that Georgetown has had this year that carried them to the title game when they got the 36-yard run by Severado and a 48-yard reverse by Jarvis Brown. Now to tack on the point after J.R. Ewing, who was 11 of 18. Kicking point afters this year will be out of the hold of Jason Evans. Rob Mills does the snapping, and they fake it. And just double check that. Is the faker just, it is number 2 carrying Matt Page. Was the play down? It's no good.
His knee was down.
His knee was down. Okay, Bill.
You can't. That's the one thing when you fake it, you've got to make sure that the knee is not down, because otherwise the ball will be down.
Now, the holder can, if he's going for an errant snap, come off his knees and back down, or even take it high and even come up a little bit and not be officially down.
That's correct, but his knee was down when he was doing it. We'll get it. Let's get an opportunity to watch it. His knee is down right now.
See right there. See, normally you've got to come out of your crouch there and take the snap while you're coming off the ground and keep that knee off. Otherwise, it would have worked.
Right. He had the knee down, and you can't do that. You've got to actually kneel down so it appears like your knee is down, and you can't do that. Let's take a look at the touchdown here on a replay. You fake to the fullback, fake one way coming back with one back, and then, of course, you go with Jarvis Brown, and he goes for 48 yards for the touchdown.
He got a couple of key blocks. One there from Hawkins, and watch the downfield block by Severado. Right there, comes across.
And he was the man that they faked the option to the first time, which means he had to come all the way across the field to be able to make that block. Outstanding play by Cecil Severado.
The kick by Georgetown. Brown's kick taken by Josh Wheatley. Wheatley, the fastest runner on the Rockridge team. A good return to the Georgetown 48-yard line, a return of 28 yards. Josh Wheatley, there you see, he's just a little bitty guy. He's only about 5'6" or so, 130 pounds, but is the fastest runner on this Rockridge team and had a good return there. As Rockridge leading 29-6, has over 5 minutes left between them and their first state championship in football. Smolbach hands off to Jason Fuller. This follows the convoy of blockers to the 43-yard line. Sports Channel is your home for college basketball. Tomorrow live at 7 p.m. it'll be Eastern Illinois taking on DePaul. And Monday night live at 7 o'clock it'll be the Loyola Ramblers against the Wildcats of Northwestern. And then Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, Indiana, the Hoosiers take on the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. That's basketball all season long right here on Sports Channel. Well, that's after a weekend full of the best in Illinois high school football. The 6 state championships held this weekend here at Hancock Stadium. 2nd and 6 from the 43 of Georgetown.
Well, they went right back to the same offense. They ran the fullback the first time. They faked the fullback this time, Jason Fuller, and then they give it to the second back through
Bob Horn.
And of course, you know, what they're doing now is they're getting a lot of younger players in there to get an opportunity to play because they need to have that experience next year going into the season. So Bob Horn now getting the opportunity to maybe show what he can do for next year.
But it hasn't also been unusual for the Rockets to do that. They have run as many as 8 to 10 backs in a game this year, so it's really not an unusual situation, though even here that's just the extra gratification of playing in the state championship game. And Smolbach just follows his blocking to the 31-yard line, picks up 9, and another first down.
I get a chance to watch Smolbach. He makes his fake, rides fullback, pulls it out at the last minute, then follows his fullback, Brian Calvert, right behind him, and then he turns it up inside. And that of course, is a classic wing T play.
Georgetown has called a timeout, and we'll keep it here with 3 minutes and 28 seconds left to go. There is, without a doubt, the MVP of the game for Rockridge, Joe Smolbach, the 5'11", 170-pound junior. Just has been impressive with his ball handling in the backfield and hasn't played badly on defense either.
Well, I'm sure you'd probably get an argument from number 38, Jason Fuller. But you know what? It's both of them. I think they probably have played with each other so much they feel that. There's a certain feeling that you have to have when you run that belly option. The fullback has to know when to pull it, when to keep it, and there's a real relationship there, Tom, and I'm sure that they would be more than happy to share that honor.
Let's head down to the sidelines now and our colleague Joe Passion.
Well, I just want to let you know that the good news here for the ball club on the near side, Georgetown averted a shutout in the Class 2A state championship game for the first time since 1982. As you recall, there was already a shutout in the 1A championship game played earlier today with the Newman Central Catholic 27-0 win over Lexington. Now, coming up later this evening, of course, 2 more state championship games will be televised here live on Sports Channel Chicago from Hancock Stadium. The 3A championship game at 4:30 should be a real dandy with the Saints of Bloomington Central Catholic. You know, it'll be an SRO crowd for that one, and they'll be taking on the DuQuoin Indians, 2 teams that have had state championships before in their history. So that 3A championship game is set at 4:30, and then 7 o'clock on Friday night, it'll be the Redskins of Morris and Coach Dan Darlington's possibly his last game ever as the head coach against the Belvedere Bucks. So lots of great Sports Channel coverage of the IHSA championship games throughout today and 2 more tomorrow. Back upstairs, fellas.
On 2nd and 3, John Phillips to the 15-yard line. You know, in that 3A title game tonight, Bloomington Central Catholic will be playing on their home field.
Well, and there's been some discussion about whether they feel that that's home field advantage or not for them. But, you know, just like the 6A game, Naperville North came up here and played Belleville East, so they've had a taste of it too. So,
and then in the 4A game tonight, you've got the 5A titleist of last year, Belvedere, trying to drop down and win one here in 4A against Morris, who has historically played some great games here. Remember that game in '89 against Richards? Just an outstanding battle in 4A. Coming up tonight as well as 3A, and then 5A and 6A tomorrow. As that running play down to the 10-yard line, the runner on the play, Thomas Davis, a 5'11 junior for Rockridge.
Well, they're certainly getting a lot of opportunities. Bob Horn was in at fullback for a play. Of course, he's normally your starting nose guard at 5'11", 179. So you're getting a lot of juniors who are going to get that experience.
Of course, you remember your last game when you get to this point, and obviously for Rockridge, it'll be joyous memories for years to come. And it'll be a very tough way to remember what has otherwise been a Cinderella season for Georgetown-Ridge Farm. You've got to be good to get to this point. But this has not been their afternoon at all today against this tough Rockridge team. Another running play at that time. Once again, that was Thomas Davis on the carry.
Well, if you're Georgetown, you'll remember this game, but you'll talk about the one where you beat the number 1 seed to get into the championship, because you beat them 27-26, that being Byron. So you'll talk about that one, Tom, and just say, hey, we took second place, but we beat the number 1 team in 2A.
Just a little over 1 minute left to go. You see the clock in the corner of your screen. As Rockridge in control, 29-6. This will be a 3rd and 2 at the Georgetown 7. Davis and Horn are in the backfield for Schmolbach. They give it to Phillips, and he's in for the touchdown. John Phillips, a 5'9 junior, gets into the scoring column for Rockridge with 45 seconds left to go.
You have to wonder, does Coach Amy have another quarterback? You know, we've not seen anybody other than Joel Schmolbach in there, and he's put in a lot of different backs, but always the same quarterback. Maybe he hasn't decided who's going to be that quarterback next year.
So Rockridge, who has torn this game open in the second half, they had a 7-0 lead at halftime. Now looking for their 36th points of the afternoon with the kick by Phillips, who scored the touchdown. The kick is good. And it is 36-6 in favor of the Rockets of Rockridge, as that time Phillips got all 7 points, just like on their previous a couple of touchdowns ago when Fuller picked up the touchdown on the 2-point conversion.
Well, one thing that's safe, and that's for sure, is you know, we've only had 3 teams that have lost 3 games to ever come in here. And you had Rockford East in '85, and you had Bishop McNamara in 3A in '86, and then, of course, the game you did with Richmond Burton in '92. So those are only 3 teams, and of course, Georgetown not able to duplicate that.
Let's keep an eye. I see somebody back there. I'm keeping an eye behind the Rockridge bench, and the Gatorade crew is already going to work. There's the drive, 47 yards in 8 plays. And a 4.5-minute drive. Phillips on the 7-yard touchdown run. So Bob Horn will kick to Cecil Severano and Jarvis Brown with 45 seconds left to go in the game. Driving kick over the head of Severano through the end zone. It'll come out to the 20. So Rick Amy, who again has tasted the state championship in wrestling twice with an outstanding wrestling program at Rockridge.
Right, you've done a few of those wrestling tournaments, haven't you?
It's a great event. The dual team right next door at Redbird Arena. They are filling up the buckets.
But I heard your favorite is cross country.
Just a lovely afternoon in Peoria a few weeks ago. But that's what cross country is. You're running against the elements as well as the other runner. When you're broadcasting, you're broadcasting against the elements as well.
The elements for me would be just running.
From the 20, 1st and 10. One last drive for Matt Page. He's back to throw, steps up, throws it out for Brown, who makes a leaping catch at the 43, gets away from his man and could go all the way. He's got one man to beat, breaks another tackle. He fumbles the football. And it's up for grabs, and Georgetown picked up extra yardage on the fumble recovery out of the 16-yard line.
It looks like that's the kind of offense you needed to do. You didn't need to have the button-down offense. You needed to do a lot of different things, and they're doing it right here. Here he eludes a number of defenders, throws the ball high again, which how many times have we seen that ball at least 7 or 8 feet in the air in a great run? And he comes back. He almost looks like he's going to break it. Then he fumbles the ball, and can't see exactly who made the recovery, but Georgetown does get the recovery.
The play went for 64 yards. 1st and 10 at the Rockridge 16 with 21 seconds to go and penalty markers thrown. Looks like either been encroachment or early motion because there was plenty of time on the play clock.
I believe there was offensive motion by the tackle on the offense.
It'll cost the Buffaloes 5 yards.
Dead ball foul. False start on the offense. 1st down.
19 seconds remaining. You know, this year the emphasis really for Rockridge had been on defense as well as special teams. Last year their offense scored 20 points a game, but they were giving up 24 and 25 a game. They won only 2 games last year. This is Severano cutting back inside, down to the 2-yard line.
He was picking his spot, Tom. He was looking for that goal line, and he just kept following his blockers, trying to pick up another blocker to be able to get it in that end zone.
That's the kind of runner that Severano is. He's the kind that picks his way, and you see that Rick Amy's already got the baptism from the Gatorade bucket as they're 2 seconds away from the state 2A football title. Rick can feel fortunate that he didn't win it last year. That would have froze on contact.
That was brutal. This is the way you want to be not only doing the games from the broadcast booth, but playing them as well. And then you're playing the game the way it should be played. And the team doesn't have to worry about the elements.
A chance here for Georgetown to win the season with a touchdown. But first, let's go to the sidelines in Joe Passion.
Well, guys, you've talked about this great Rockridge defense all afternoon long, and defensive coordinator Dave Minton is a big reason for that. WRMJ's John Hoshite talking about how he left Orion High School just to come here and coach football at Rockridge, and his defense has been a big part of today's apparent victory, which is just 2 seconds away.
That's right, he came on as a volunteer coach last year, and they made him defensive coordinator this year. Last play, Severano to the goal line. Touchdown on the last play of the 1994 season for the Buffaloes.
You know, Tom, that's the way you want to end it. I mean, there's a young man that's had a great career. He's an all-state defensive back for the Sun Times, chosen just the other day. And to be able to end your career with a touchdown, I think that's the best way. And that's what high school championship football is all about.
And with the outcome not in doubt, they will not kick the point after, and Rockridge has been crowned the 2A state champion with a 36-12 victory here at Hancock Stadium. Only 7 points scored in this ball game in the first half, but Rockridge, with 1 touchdown in the third quarter, 2 in the fourth, opened up a 29-0 lead and went on to win at 36-12 as the two teams congratulate each other in a traditional post-game exercise here on the turf at Hancock Stadium. And that means we're just a couple of moments away from the awarding of the state championship trophy and the runner-up trophy as the coverage continues, coming your way on Sports Channel. Back at Hancock Stadium, Tom Stalker, Bill Gorley, as Rockridge has won the 2A title. And let's go now for the awarding of our 2 team trophies.
At the 50-yard line, facing the West Main
stands of Hancock Stadium for the presentation of the Class 2A first and second place individual and team awards. Making the presentations will be members of the Illinois High School Association Board of Directors. Presenting the awards for the Class 2A championship game are Board of Directors members Mr. Greg Bradley, the principal of Mount Zion High School, Mr. Gary Collins, the principal of Monmouth High School, and Mr. William Wright, the principal of Savannah High School. And now, with Principal Patricia Nagel, Coach Greg Edwards, and the captains of runners-up Georgetown-Ridge Farm on the stands, here is the award ceremony. Fans, a special medallion is presented to Ms. Nagel, and the individual awards will be presented to Coach Edwards and his team captains by Mr. Bradley. And now the second place trophy in Class 2A will be presented to the Buffaloes of Georgetown-Ridge Farm High School, who finished the season with a final record of 10-4. Presenting the trophy is Mr. Bradley. Also, an autographed football from Wilson Sporting Goods is being presented as well to the Buffaloes of Georgetown-Ridge Farm. Congratulations to Georgetown-Ridge Farm, this year's second place finisher in Class 2A. And now, ladies and gentlemen, will Principal Lewis Betts, Coach Rick Amy, and the captains of state champion Rockridge High School please join the presenters on the awards platform. Ladies and gentlemen, the Illinois High School Association has instituted a campaign to sport a winning attitude, sportsmanship, and to recognize it at the state finals. Players, coaches, and spectators of each of the teams competing in this championship game were evaluated by a volunteer panel of judges. Winning the banner for sporting a winning attitude at the 1994 Class 2A game was Rockridge High School of Taylor Ridge. The member schools of the Illinois High School Association thank all of you here at Hancock Stadium for sporting a winning attitude. And now for the presentation of the medallions and the individual awards and the trophy. A special medallion is presented to Principal Betts, and the individual awards will be presented to Coach Amy and his team captains by Mr. Wright. There are the presentations of the individual awards.
Good job, Coach.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for the trophy presentation, this year's state championship Class 2A team trophy will be presented to the Rockets of Rockridge High School of Taylor Ridge, who finished the season with a record of 12-2. Presenting that championship trophy is Mr. Collins. Congratulations to the Rockets of Rockridge High School, this year's state champion in Class 2A. Also being presented to the Rockets of Rockridge, a game ball sponsored by Wilson Sporting Goods. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the awards presentation for the Class 2A championship game.
So that's the trophy presentation here in Class 2A, won by Rockridge. We'll be back to visit with their head coach, Rick Amy, after we take this time out on Sports Channel.
So we may prepare for session.
Well, back at Hancock Stadium, Tom Stalker, Bill Gorley, as Rockridge has been crowned our Class 2A state champion. And let's send it down to the sidelines and our colleague Joe Passion.
Well, Tom, Rick Amy already knows what it's like to win a state championship, but in wrestling, not in football. And
That's right.
What's the feeling in comparison?
It's a lot different. Yeah. Well, I can't compare. They both were very exciting, and this is a really sweet one. No, this is neat.
A 7-0 lead at the break. You come out and score 29 unanswered points in that second half. What turned things around? What type of adjustments were made at the half?
Well, I think the first thing we told them is that we're 24 minutes away from the state title, and that we just needed to execute on the line and not make basic mistakes. We made a couple corrections to the way they were flipping their defense on us, and it seemed to work just unbelievably. And we snaked them a couple times. We had that little power off the tack on that back fade for that one pass, but the kids really come out and perform the second half. But week in and week out, we've been a second half team. We've always come out and a lot stronger after a little break, and I think that was probably the turning point for us. We scored the most points in our fourth quarter, and so the confidence is there. The confidence is there coming out, especially ahead.
A lot of great individual performances out here by a lot of players, but let's face it, Joe Schmolbach on both sides of the football was just spectacular.
He's just, defensively is a free safety. He comes up and makes hit after hit out there and saves us. And then as a quarterback, he's calm, he's cool, and he's just a great leader out there and been a super for us at that spot.
And briefly about the defense, Dave Minton comes over here from Orion, and really this defense was very impressive because they held off some rallies even though late.
Well, yeah, Bob came over from Orion. He's the head wrestling coach over there, and he was the football coach for a while. And he came over and helped us out defensively as a assistant last year, and then took over as defensive coordinator this year, and just done an outstanding job with these kids. And yeah, we've been just super tough on the run. Last week gave Byron 52 yards rushing, but the pass was what we were letting us down at, and we thought that if we just got a rush on these guys and we could get our corners just to lock on them and stay on them and let everybody else play, like he calls it, smash mouth football, then we'll be fine. And his kids just came through what defensive stand. They were just outstanding.
There was a lot of great hitting by both teams here today. It was a great football game, but you've got some celebrating to do, Rick, so I'll let you go and have some fun with that.
Thank you very much.
All right, congratulations, Rick Amy. And now another rock in Rockridge Rockets. Well, they'll be rocking the town tonight, I guarantee you, after this big victory here, their first Class 2A football state championship. And in the meantime, let's take it back upstairs to a couple other champions of their own, to Tom and Bill.
Yeah, they'll be rocking around the clock over there in Rock Island County, no doubt about it, after Rockridge wins it here today. The big difference between Rockridge last year at 2-7 and this year as state champs, the emphasis on defense. They held them to 12 points today, and their offense just was flawless.
Well, I think the big difference was that Georgetown was one-dimensional, and Rockridge played great defense and just shut them down, and that was the difference. Severado wasn't able to do what he's been able to do all season long, Tom.
So we're halfway done for the day, 1/3 of the way through our championship weekend here at the IHSA State Football Championships. As here for the 2A title was Rockridge, winning it over the Buffaloes of Georgetown-Ridge Farm. We remind you to stay tuned at 4:30. It's the IHSA 3A championship game, Bloomington Central Catholic against DeCoit. This game was produced and directed by Dave Turner. The graphics coordinator was Joe Group. Remote facilities were provided by Trio Video of Chicago. Once again, the final 2A champion is Rockridge. For Bill Gorley, I'm Tom Stalker saying goodbye for now. The proceeding has been an exclusive presentation of Sports Channel. Now let's go back to our Sports Channel Report studios and join Steve Cashel.